Hey y'all, welcome to my YouTube channel. I am going to turn this into a dress for my daughter. Sometimes the only way to make clothes look store-bought is to actually buy clothes and make clothes out of store-bought clothes. Let's start off by cutting up the shirt. So I cut off at the side seams and then I cut off the sleeves. I cut off the upper back parts. Every single part where there was a seam, I cut it. And then I pressed all of my pieces. And there I had all the pieces cut out. I didn't even seam rip, I just cut it. Now I need to design my pattern. Now I have a video on that. See the link in this video on how I like to drape my patterns, but I'm not going to go into a lot of detail here, so make sure you click on that link. Now that we have our fabric, it's time to cut out our pieces. I start with my bigger pieces, the skirt pieces, because you can't piece skirt pieces together as well. So I go ahead and finagle that, make sure I'm saving as much fabric as I can. But then I realized I had a pocket in one of the skirts, so I just seam ripped that out. And then I proceeded to cut everything out of the sleeves and all the other pieces of the shirt. Amazingly enough, I have all of these scraps, which when I used a short sleeve shirt, I didn't have all these scraps. Long sleeve men's shirts are the way to go if you're wanting to make your daughter a dress and have some extra if you make a mistake. All the pieces are cut and now I'm ready to start sewing the skirt together. I sewed it at just under 1/4 inch, then I pressed it to one side and then folded it right at that seam and pressed it down, and then I stitched it at 3/8 of an inch. All my seams are sewn together, so now I'm doing a final press on all my seams. So for side seams, I have French seams, and in the back, because I'm adding a placket in the back, I just serge the edges, but I have French seams going all the way around. Now that the base skirt is done, I'm sewing the bottom bands together with the linings, and I'm pressing the seams open on the lining and the band and pinning it to the actual skirt, stitched it, and pressed the seam downward. I think we're talking super adorable. I am loving that little band at the bottom. You gather it, and it just kind of flares out. And not too bad. I pattern matched all the stripes. Now I'm ready to sew the actual lining band to the band. So after I stitched it on there, I took it to the iron and I pressed it towards the lining. Then I did a stitch right by the seam on the lining side. Then I brought it to the iron, flipped the lining back, pressed it right where that seam is, and just pressed it all nice and neat and flat. Then I took the top of the band and folded it under, pressed it down, pinned it, and then I slip stitched it to that seam right there. All done. Now we're ready to move on to our bodice, which basically you take your bodice pieces, you sew them together like any other typical bodice with the side seams. Then I made my straps ready to put the bodice together, and I tried on the bodice on the mannequin, fit perfectly. So I attached the straps, then I started to sew the lining on top of the bodice, and voila, it is absolutely adorable. Cannot wait to attach the skirt. So I did some gathering stitches at the top of the skirt, attached the bodice to it, pressed it upwards towards the bodice so it had a nice clean fit, and folded under the lining at that seam. And here I'm going to add the buttons. I'm just rushing through this because y'all know a lot about this. Tell me if you don't and you want to see a video on any of this stuff. Here you have the finished dress, and I will say I'm really pleased with it. I didn't have to do any fidgeting with this shirt to get enough fabric out of this dress. I pretty much just cut it out like fabric and made a normal pattern. Like, these are the normal pieces that I would normally use on a regular dress. It's not like I cut up a sleeve and pieced it together to make a dress. However, I will say, because I have the bodice and then I had this band down here, that did help with having enough fabric, because I could actually cut this in a different direction than I did the skirt piece, which is the biggest piece in making a dress. So this helps a lot. But this is also very in style right now. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a lot of dresses that have stripes going two different directions for the bodice and the bottom band. This dress is a 4T. It's a size 4T. Still had a little bit of fabric left over to fidget with. And I used a size medium men's shirt to make this dress. I would say extra large. You can't go wrong with extra large with 3T or 4T. So if you enjoyed this video, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and I will see you next time.